West Virginia was challenged mentally and physically in a game tonight against the UMass Minutemen, and they answered the freaking bell.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up? Welcome back in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul, your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, brought to you by FanDuel, guys. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen every single day and for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every single day. Listen, man. Frank Martin's a really good basketball coach, right? Let me preface it before we get into this. And he threw it all at Darian DeVries. It looked like a mirror image of watching Bob Huggins. It was like watching Bob Huggins coach. The 1-3-1, he threw that in real late. It really threw our team off. The different looks. I mean, there were so many different coverages. You would have thought he was the defensive coordinator of the NFL. There were so many coverages thrown at this team that just got thrown together, guys. This is 2 games in. Do you know how impressive this is for Darian DeVries to get this team to play at this level against a team that, let's just be honest, they had 7 guys coming back. We got nobody coming back. The only guy we got coming back is on the bench. So I mean, he's redshirting. He's not even playing. Ofri Neve's not even going to play. This was an impressive performance. I think UMass is a good basketball team. I really do. They've got a top 100 guard. They've got a freshman that you can see tonight, the lefty, that really played well tonight. He started on most Power 5 rosters. The kid that, man, they had a really strong – I mean, it was just a carbon copy of what a Hugs team would look like. Incredible how strong some of their guys were to be a mid-major team. We know that doesn't really matter at that level, but Rivera, man, the forward he's a Power 5 kid. Frank Martin's got some good basketball players. They had 4 guys in double figures, and a lot of that came in the second half, but the West Virginia Mountaineers were the better team. They led the entire way. And really, guys, there were 2 guys that really stood out tonight. 3 if you count the first half, and Jonathan Powell, the way he looked. He's a freshman. He's going to have peaks and valleys. And the first half for Powell was a peak, and the second half was more of a valley for him. He's going to get way better as the year goes on, and he might even take some of not Amani Hansberry, but Toby Okani's minutes later on down the line as Darren starts to get a formula for what he wants offensively and defensively, because they do complement each other as starter and backup. But it was Tucker DeVries, man. He got his hand on every ball. He dived on every loose ball. He was on every floor. He got every offensive rebound. He got every defensive rebound. He was getting his hands on balls. He made clutch threes when we needed them. He did everything you could possibly want, gave it all on the floor tonight. And I'll tell you what, man, to be the 2-time player of the year, it didn't look like it to me. It looked like he was a kid that just came off the bench that was fighting for minutes, like he never started a game in his life. That's what he looked like. He was begging to stay on the floor. I could not have been more impressed with Tucker DeVries. And it's a typical Tucker DeVries stat line. 17 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, probably 2 or 3 steals, if not more. And a few of those were offensive rebounds. He hit the clutch 3 when we hadn't scored in several minutes. He dived on the ball after all the loose balls. Every time it was an iffy type play, it seemed like he figured out a way to pull it off, and I think that's his charm. He makes ugly look really good sometimes, and that's a compliment. We got ourselves a ball player, and look, tonight tells me that Tucker DeVries is ready for the Big 12. You're not going to face much more physical than what Frank Martin can throw at you with a group of 7 guys coming back for another run. I'm not saying that UMass is going to win the national championship, and I'm not trying to overhype this. I just think that for this team here, when you've got 10 to 11 rotational pieces that's playing the first two games together, they passed the bell. They answered the bell. Sincere Harris, chef's kiss. Diggins got his in the second half. I think, once Sincere was spent and he was a little injured because that was a scary moment. Thank God he didn't break his leg. But scary moment for him. I was so glad he wasn't hurt bad. I'll tell you what, I continue to be compressed with. I would have to really sit and gather my thoughts, but I think number one, first and foremost, Darian DeVries shows why he was the most underrated coach, in my opinion. And this may be a little controversial, but because I feel like he was based on merit. Now, he may end up being the best. Based on merit, I feel like he was probably the second best guy out there anyway. He may end up being the best. And look what he's done with this team in 2 short games, how well they play together. That was not an easy test tonight. A lot of you guys may look at this and say, hey, it's UMass. But I'm just telling you, it's Frank Martin. He took South Carolina to a Final Four. He knows how to coach. And this is going to be a good UMass team. I'll be surprised if they don't win to end up with 20 wins, 22, 23 wins this year. Maybe even be a tournament team. Maybe they win the A10 and get in that way. Maybe they're not large even. I don't know. But I think we're looking at a West Virginia team that's really rounding into form. We have some deficiencies. There's no doubt about it. It's not all sunshine. It's not all rainbows. But let's look at this box score. Let's see what the stats tell us. And I would love to look at some of the really deep stats. But look, Amani Hansberry, Tucker DeVries, you couldn't ask for much more out of those two guys. Amani Hansberry really played a really good game after I felt like he struggled in the first half at times. And I started to question in that first half, maybe Andre needs to be in the game more. And the only critique I can even give Darian DeVries, and I don't even know if you can consider this a critique, is I think Andre does deserve more minutes. I know it's hard to get everybody in the game, but I still think Andre is going to prove more valuable than we thought. He's better than I thought. He's a good rebounder. He shoots well from the free throw line, so he's not deficient there. And I'll tell you what, Nelson Hernandez has said to me, look, he told me, right, after he came over, look, Nelson Hernandez is the GM for West Virginia, by the way, the guy that puts the team together. He said, look, Andre's good. He's a good player. He was very underrated at Fresno State, played through a lot of injuries. There's a reason he's back for his 5th year. And I think by the end of the year, he's going to really be a nice piece for us guys. Look for him to continue to really play well. West Virginia didn't even have their 3-ball going tonight. Neither did UMass, on a fair note. West Virginia shot about 34% tonight from 3, a far cry from the 50% from the other game. But I think, we'll probably shoot it a little bit better than this most nights. I would expect us to be up a little closer to 38%, 39%, but 35 is decent. If you can get 8, that's okay. Free throws is where West Virginia won the game. 25 of 29 from the free throw line, 86%. This is a huge difference from Bob Huggins, guys. You want to know why Bob Huggins' teams were bad at free throws? It's because of the type of players he recruited, really. He developed and recruited certain types of players, and so does Frank Martin. Very similar, and it showed up in the box score tonight. It really, truly did. They were 13 of 20, which is 65%, which is what you would see from a Huggins team, right around there. And then we were 25 of 29. If you're 25 of 29, you're going to win a lot of games. And we had everybody shooting tonight. It wasn't like it was just Tucker or Javon up there. Everybody was making their free throws, which the first game, that didn't happen as much. 12 assists. That number will grow. This was a really disjointed game, and this first of all, the fouls were horrible. Kip Kissinger was on the call in this game, and let me just tell you, it's pretty obvious to me that he still hates West Virginia. I'm just keeping it real, and I truly believe that. West Virginia played bad in the second half, in my opinion, as compared to the first half, and they still won this game. That's great. They still haven't even put a full game together yet, guys. Can you believe that? But yes, Rashul Diggins did have 19 points, but he got it at the end of the game during garbage time. He really only had about 11, in my opinion. I mean, he scored 19, but he had 11 meaningful points. The other, like I said, the others were at the end of the game when it was the back and forth thing, but a lot of good players padded their stats during that time. Jalen Curry was their best player tonight, far and away. So I feel like he played really well. But those fouls, man, it just made it really hard to enjoy the game, and there were some really, really bad ones. And it seemed like yeah, that's right. I apologize. You're right, Daniel. Kip Kissinger wasn't it in that game tonight. I apologize. I was looking at the different note. Yeah, my bad. But anyways, it was like he was there tonight. It was like he was there tonight. My apologies on that. Thanks for the correction. Anytime you guys need to correct me, by the way, I appreciate it. Back to the box score really quick too. Yesufu played good minutes tonight. I can't wait to see him get healthy. My dude KJ Tenner, who by the way, he'll be coming back on the show. I just talked to him. Let me see. I just spoke with KJ. I think it was yesterday. Make sure though. Yeah, I talked to him. Okay, so yesterday I spoke with KJ at 6:00, and he's going to come back on. So I'll get a hold of him later. And you guys let me know some questions down in the comments that you might have for KJ after 2 games. Other than that, guys, let's go to break really quick. And on the other end of the break, I want to talk about this. We're going to dive a little bit into this and look and just be honest. Is this a tournament team? Can we tell yet? Is it fair to even talk about? That's next, guys. Stick around. This is Locked On West Virginia. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you in part by LinkedIn Talent Solutions, guys. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to find right professionals for your team faster and for free. It's not just a job board. It helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else. Even those who aren't actively searching for a new job might be able for the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So hire professionals like a professional and do it on LinkedIn, guys. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. All right, guys. So let's look at this schedule, and it's about to get fun with the capital F. So West Virginia is going to have a very important game against a really good Pitt basketball team, guys. They play Gardner-Webb on Monday. A week from today, we play them. We've got we've got the edge on them, guys. We have until November 15th, the 15th off. That's 7 days. That's pretty good in college basketball. Most games are 3 days apart. So Gardner-Webb for Pitt next. That's on Monday. That means they're only going to have 4 days, and we're going to have 7 for them. I think that's going to play a factor in this game, especially when you give a guy like Darian DeVries any kind of just extra time to prepare for you. He's going to have West Virginia ready to go. This is going to be the first road test for West Virginia at Pitt. And look, Jeff Capel has got himself, he's amassed himself a really good basketball team. Coming out of, Think about who he set the learning tree that he sat under for so many years. It's incredible, right? Uh, I can't imagine what it would be like to sit under the learning tree of a Coach K. I just I couldn't. So at the end of the day, guys, I think he's going to have their guys ready to go, and we're going to know really for real this like coming up what West Virginia is going to really be because I think UMass was a good test, but West Virginia was better at most positions. I think you could make an argument that let me look back at the box score really quick. I'll just go player for player. So, by the way, if you're listening to this on podcast, West Virginia won 75-69, but that's really not indicative. I think West Virginia led by as many as almost 20 in this game, and it was really double digits for most of the game. It was competitive, but West Virginia was clearly the better team. And I think this would only continue to solidify being that they had 7 guys returning. They should be a lot better as a team as well than West Virginia is. Darian DeVries proven he's a good coach right off the rip, though. So I think you look at it, Rivera and maybe Curry are the only 2 players I see. Muhammad's okay, but I wouldn't take him over in one of our bigs. I think Curry and Rivera, the forward, that was really good. He had 14 and 9 tonight. He's strong. He went to the rim and dunked it on us a couple times. You know, he outplayed Toby Oconee at times tonight and other guys that played on him. He's very similar to Toby Oconee in mismatch. He's big, physical. So I think, you know, Toby Oconee had 4 points, 5 boards. He really had a hot start and then really just kind of faded a little bit in this game, was in some foul trouble. But at the end of the day, I think you look at this and you're really excited about the future of this roster. I think we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we'll have another one. Jaden Stone comes back. 10 guys, I think that's where we're going to be at, 10 to, you know, maybe 11 deep, but most likely we'll stay at 10. That's good. You could win a lot of games with 10 players. And when we get to the bench, it really doesn't feel like we have a lot that falls off. We've got just enough. If we had one more really good big, I think that we would really be set for what I would say is a for sure tournament team. But Tucker DeVries really plays like an extra big. I mean, 8 rebounds. That's as good as any big you can find, really. I mean, what do you want him to do? Average a double-double? So Tucker really acts like another forward out there, and he really plays the forward too a lot. So, but let's get to the schedule for West Virginia. So can West Virginia be a tournament team? And I kind of went over this last time, but I want to update it after every game. I think it'll be fun. And then we're going to get an answer as we go along. But I think it's feasible for West Virginia to beat Pitt. Absolutely. It's not like they're ranked or anything. So I think West Virginia can win that game. Let's say we get to 3-0. Iona, you know, the Gales are good. It's a great basketball school. Not saying it's not, but they just lost to Hofstra. They lost to Princeton. So they were the MAAC tournament final last year from what I looked into the other day, but they're not anything like they normally are. They shoot a bunch of threes. Like, we'll beat them in my opinion. So you look at West Virginia at 4-0, then Gonzaga. That'll be the first loss of the year for us. I mean, look, we could pull it off. I'm not saying we couldn't, but they just absolutely destroyed Baylor, who's a top 10 team. And most people would have said a national championship contender by like 30 or 40 the other day. So what was that? Gonzaga beat them. Let me look really quick. Yeah, they beat them 101 to 60 freaking 3, dude. Gosh. When's the last time you seen Scott Drew get destroyed like that? Then Georgetown. So I think you can look at West Virginia, NC Central, BCU, and Mercyhurst. Look, in a perfect world, I think you look at this West Virginia team and you see them get off to a 2-3-0, 4-0, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 7-1, 8. You can get off to an 8-1 start. Truly, worst case, you're at 7-2 coming into Kansas. If you're 8-1 or 7-2 into Kansas, I think you've got a shot at being a tournament team here. Because let's just say they're 7-2 even. So 7-3 is Kansas. Let's say 8-3 Oklahoma State. Then 8-4 Arizona. 9-4 is Colorado. 9-5 is Houston. 9-6 Iowa State. Then you got to go 10-6, 11-6, 11-7. Let's go 12-7, 13, 14, 15-7. I mean, really, depending on how these teams develop. So at that point, you're at 15 wins with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games to go. So, and your last 3 games are BYU, Utah, and UCF. So I think there are pockets in this schedule where you look at like where can West Virginia rack up some wins and get a tournament spot. Let's say they lose all the games they're supposed to lose. Well, that would be Gonzaga, 1, right? And they're going to lose a game they shouldn't lose. I mean, it's not going to be perfect. But let's just try to figure this out. So Kansas would be 2 losses plus the 2 I already added earlier, so that's 4. Iowa State would be 5. Houston would be 6. Arizona State's probably not going to beat West Virginia. Kansas State could beat West Virginia, but you never know. They're not ranked either at this point. You got Houston, Cincinnati, Baylor, Cincinnati again. But, I mean, you've got Utah, UCF, BYU, TCU, BYU again. You got BYU twice. You got Utah twice. You've got UCF. You've got TCU twice. There are wins on this schedule for this team. And I don't want to get too involved with the schedule there, but overarching point is if you look at the schedule, I think everybody focuses on the 8 to 10 really hard games. But there are 8 to 10 really, really winnable games for this team that I saw tonight and I saw against Robert Morris. The thing that could hurt this team, in my opinion, is injuries. If you get a key injury to any of Javon Small, Tucker DeVries, you might be able to survive a Small with KJ Tenner, but you wouldn't want to have to, because then you're relying on Dylan J and other guys. So I think you can't lose, obviously, or Hansberry. And really you don't want to lose anybody. Like this is a thin, what I consider a thin 10 deep, because there's not a lot of guys that play multiple positions outside of Tucker, Amani. Amani plays basically 2 positions. It's not like he can play the 3 really. Tucker could play 1 through 4. Toby can play 1 through 4 to 5 at times. And then you got a couple guards that can play the 1 and the 2, but you would like to have another couple bigs. Is unfortunate, but other than that, man, I'm excited about this team. Somebody in the chat's asked me if I saw Sharon Young. Yeah, I saw that. He definitely played well. His first game at Akron, who West Virginia did choose not to recruit. We'll see how that ends up playing out. I think you look at, first of all, that Akron team doesn't have anywhere near the scorers or the players ahead of him than like a KJ Tenner does. But I'll take KJ Tenner. I think Sharon Young is great. But from what I've seen, the maturity that KJ, and maybe I'm biased because we chat from time to time, but man, KJ Tenner has proven a lot to me in both. He's already allowed to talk to the press. How many freshmen do you know that are allowed to do that? It just doesn't happen. So, Sincere Harris, there's a lot of guys you can't really lose on this roster when you look at it. But it's only going to get better, especially as Jonathan Powell, man, if he can really turn into the kind of scorer, like he's really very similar to a Taz Sherman. I think that's really a good comp for him. I don't know what he's going to be on defense, but offensively, and he's a better outside shooter, at least right now, but not mid-range yet. But we'll see where he gets to. I need a drink. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, guys, let's put a bow on this one and maybe discuss some football for tomorrow. Be right back. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you in part by Robinhood Confidential. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get rates and perks usually reserved for high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn up the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash and rewarded with the handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are available for $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhoodgold.com/gold. Terms apply, but go to robinhoodgold.com/gold. Remember, investing involves risk. Rates can always change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. All right, guys, we are back. So that was a huge win for the Mountaineers, and we've only got 4 minutes left in this episode anyways, Andy. So somebody in the comments saying I had them until we mentioned football. I think it's going to be an interesting game tomorrow with the Cincinnati Bearcats and 300 miles away. That's going to be interesting. I'm going to be really focused on, obviously, Jeff Coons, the defensive coordinator. What is the defense going to look like under him? He can really be the hero of the day tomorrow, guys, right? Listen, I know a lot of us don't want Neal to stay, but at the same time, if you knew we could somehow get into this Big 12 race, would you look past it for that? I'm curious to know what people's opinion on that is. Like, if you knew all West Virginia had to do was win out, and that's a huge if, would that give you any extra excitement, or would you be like, crap, he's going to beat these bad teams and come back again? I continually see people hoping we lose, and I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Listen, I think there's a chance that he goes, but it would have to be an 0-4. He would have to lose every game. There would be almost no way for him to survive that. But outside of that, I agree. Writing's all over the wall. I've said it multiple times for the last 2 weeks. Yeah, he's probably not leaving. But 1-3 or especially 0-4, maybe that conversation changes. With new information, things change. But let's focus on winning this game. Let's root for this team to win this game. It's been a long 2 weeks without football, guys. It's been a long 2 weeks without football. I miss football. We don't have football. I don't care how bad or good we are. I miss it. And we wait all year, 365 days to watch it. Let's enjoy it. It's my favorite thing. Raise your hand if West Virginia football and basketball is your favorite thing. So tomorrow, I'm looking forward to it, guys, and hopefully Brendan Sorsby doesn't piece us up. If he does, I'll probably get on here and complain, just like usual. But I promise you guys, at the end of the day, I love the Mountaineers. And even though I may come across negatively to some people sometimes, that's not my intention. I just sometimes my expectations are too high. So, and that's my own fault. But at the end of the day, y'all, it's been a good night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be. To quote Tony Caridi, I'm going to text the guy from UMass right now. I don't know if you watched yesterday's episode, but I had the UMass play-by-play. Basically, it's their Tony Caridi. I had him on the show. We previewed the game. And I told him about Sincere Harris. I'm going to see what he has to say about that. So I'll update you guys tomorrow after the game when I go live. Until then, guys, this episode's over. Have a great night, and I'm out of here.